For decades, the wealth inequality in the Netherlands has inscribed a bold question mark on the world's most viable economic policies, including the effectiveness of taxation. Like most developed nations, taxes in the Netherlands are relatively high. In return, the public services are relatively good. Talk about a strong social security system, fantastic healthcare system, robust retirement pension, and other amazing social plans accessible to all. Yet, while all of these could make the Netherlands the most perfect place in the World Bank has labeled the country the most unequal place on Earth. With an extremely tight taxation policy, it is almost impossible for people to escape paying taxes. If you live in the Netherlands, you qualify as a resident taxpayer. If you live abroad and receive income from the Netherlands, your income is also taxable. You qualify as a non-resident taxpayer. In both cases, you will be subject to Dutch income tax. Very recently, the Inequality and Redistribution study conducted in collaboration with Statistics Netherlands looked into the redistribution of wealth in the Netherlands. The impact of various Dutch taxes as well as government spending on education, healthcare, and social security was calculated by the body. Much to the surprise of the whole world, it was discovered that the role of taxation in the redistribution of income between Dutch households and families is limited. The government is majorly responsible for redistribution through expenditure. Therefore, households with lower income benefit from direct government support in the form of the diverse benefits made available to them. The implication of this being that these low-income households benefit more from government spending than those with higher incomes. This invariably means that lower-income households account for 29% of the national income instead of the alleged 19%, while the wealthiest 10% account for 25% instead of 32%. However, this doesn't go to say that the residents of the Netherlands are entirely living in peril. In actual fact, in the metrics of standards of living, the Netherlands is usually ranked among the highest in the world, making 10th place on the Social Progress Index and 8th on the Human Development Index. This proves without a shadow of doubt that the Dutch government places concentrated efforts in the well-being of citizens. More so, reliable metrics like wealth inequality alone cannot fully capture the quality of life within a country. To fully understand the standard of living of a people, factors like discrimination, poverty rates, literacy rates, life expectancy, safety, and political stability must be considered. Yet this is still not to say that wealth inequality in a nation should not be taken seriously and that a solution should not be found swiftly. Since the topic became a popular world discussion, higher tax rates for the wealthy and increased government spending have constantly been proposed as the absolute solution for wealth inequality within a country. Phrases like "eat the rich" have been circulating social media largely in support of these sentiments. The question is, how effective are such progressive policies in the equal distribution of wealth? To answer this, we would examine a country where this type of policy has been implemented, the Netherlands. The Netherlands is often ranked among the most advanced and forward-thinking economies in the world. In fact, many of the progressive policies like high tax rates and high government spending that are being proposed to the U.S. government have been a rule in the Netherlands for decades. As of 2021, the Netherlands' income tax went up to 49.5%. The interesting yet conflicting fact is, despite all their progressive policies, the Netherlands has the worst wealth inequality in the world, with a Gini coefficient of 0.902. To capture this better, consider the fact that the top 10% controls 60% of net wealth in all of the Netherlands. Shocking, right? Another important question is, how did this come to be? In order to understand how the Netherlands could have such a high wealth inequality, we have to understand what exactly the Gini coefficient measures and how it captures wealth inequality. The Gini coefficient is a statistical measurement of how evenly something is distributed amongst a population on a range from 0 to 1, 1 being the most economically unequal distribution possible. This value is often used to evaluate and represent the wealth or income inequality existing in a country. While income inequality has to do with the rewards an individual receives annually in exchange for their labor or investments, wealth inequality concerns the financial assets an individual has accumulated over the course of their entire life. Over the years, it has been assumed that if income taxes increase, the wealth gap would close eventually. But the Netherlands has shown the actual truth, which is, income equality doesn't necessarily equate to wealth equality. In fact, the Gini coefficient for income inequality in the Netherlands is merely 0.266 in spite of its incredibly high and ever-growing wealth inequality. To better illustrate this, we can consider the fact that the top 20% in the Netherlands earns only 4 times the income of the bottom 20%. As a comparison, the US's top 20% earns 16.65 times the amount the bottom 20% do, even though the Netherlands have a higher wealth inequality than the US. According to research, the fact that wealth inequality exists in the Netherlands was not unknown. What went wrong was that, for the longest time, the wealth of the richest households were underestimated. A substantial interest in a business in which a person holds at least 5% of the shares of a company was not fully included in prior research. The wealthiest 1% own no less than 75% of all substantial business interests in the Netherlands. For them, this interest constitutes 60% of their total assets. A number of factors are responsible for the ever-increasing wealth inequality in the Netherlands. One of such factors is the current fiscal policy of the government. The tax on wealth is much lower than that on work, seeing that the wealthiest 1% experience a lower average tax burden. Another significant contributor to the manifold wealth inequality is inheritance and gift tax. This happens mainly by business succession to ensure the continuation of businesses, allowing successors to pay much less than the usual tax. Inequality in wealth distribution is a huge economic problem and can be harmful to society, researchers warn. Now, how can this issue be addressed? There are several probable solutions to wealth inequality in the Netherlands, some of which are adjusting the gift and inheritance tax, taxing the equity value of homes differently, and balancing the taxes on work and wealth. Also, the government can look to reduce the disparity between the people. This can be done by taxing those with small assets and low income less, and taxing those with large assets and high income more. More so, if those high incomes are obtained through inheritance or those making money off of their money. In general, there are numerous methods on how to reduce inequality within our tax system. Netherlands Prime Minister Mark Rutte once said that it will probably take several years to tackle wealth inequality. But this hasn't stopped the government from working towards it. Policy studies have been carried out, all in a bid to come up with a workable solution. On the other hand, Social Affairs Minister Karian van Gennep, being rather optimistic, quipped that the skewed distribution of wealth in the Netherlands is a major phenomenon from which a lot can be learnt even while trying to tackle it. Even though the Netherlands' high progressive income taxes have been insufficient in bridging the wealth gap, the taxes combined with free public education, gender equality advocacy efforts, and comprehensive labor protection laws, among others, have been effective in mitigating income inequality. The real issue remains that the accumulated intergenerational wealth grows faster than the Dutch government can regulate. The Netherlands' historical wealth dates back to centuries ago, with huge organizations like the Dutch East Indies Company, which allowed an extremely small minority of the Dutch population to amass wealth. Till date, these organizations are still compounding and increasing the wealth. While it may be easy to label the economic policies of the Netherlands ineffective because of the extremely high wealth inequality, it is worthy of note that just because they haven't been unsuccessful in solving the wealth gap issue doesn't mean that they reduced inequality in other forms. Also, that the wealth gap reveals only a glimpse of the state of inequality within a nation. It is crucial that nations seek to know the effects of policies before implementing them, and as much as possible, find out the risks they are exposed to by reason of already established policies for better outcomes. That's it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and like this video. The Netherlands has indeed served a great lesson to the whole world. It only hoped that better outputs would arise from it.